What is up, my friends? Welcome into Flippin' Bats. Today is NL Central Preview Day. Earlier this week was AL Central. We've done AL East, we've done NL East, we've done AL Central, and now we have NL Central, a division that I think can be fun this year. I don't think it's going to be the best division in the world, but you could tell me four out of there's five teams in this division that I think can show flashes of being good that you could say, you know what, this team wins the division. And I'd be like, that's a bit of a shock, but like I could see a path really for a couple reasons. One, there's not like the most dominant team in the world in this division. And two, every team does have talent. So it's going to be a fun division top to bottom in terms of like how competitive it can be. But I'm excited to talk this division because last year I got it very wrong. Very wrong. Was all in on the Reds, and then all hell broke loose with McClain being injured and Noelvi Marte being injured and CES being injured. Very wrong in the NL Central. Also had the Milwaukee Brewers finishing in last. That did not happen either. They won the division. So 2024, the Milwaukee Brewers win the NL Central. Today, we preview the 2025 NL Central. We are getting closer and closer to the start of the season. The Tokyo series is just a few days away at this point. We are less than a week away from the first games of the 2025 regular season being played. Cubs, part of that series. Dodgers in that series as well, heading over to Japan. In just a couple of days, those games will take place. So let's get right to it. NL Central preview. I always want to know what you all think, so please leave a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, comment what you think happens, what you think about my predictions. But make sure you're subscribed there on our YouTube channel. You can watch everything. Also, wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify. It does really help when you subscribe. Hit that follow button, please, because 2025 is the year of flipping bats, as you all know. Big year ahead, and I cannot wait for baseball to get started. NL Central, let's get going. We're going to start with the number 5 team in this division, the team that I think comes in last at plus 1,000 to win the division is going to be the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I don't like that it's the Pittsburgh Pirates. I wish it wasn't the Pittsburgh Pirates. I wish that team and Bob Nutting, owner, would do something, but they really don't. Because this team has a rotation that'll have Paul Skeens, potential Cy Young Award winner in the National League, at the top of that rotation. We're about to get a full season of Paul Skeens in the big leagues. We're all lucky that we get to watch that happen. Can't wait for that. Paul Skeens, Jared Jones at the top of the rotation with Mitch Keller. That's a really fun 1-2-3. Skeens, Keller, Jones. Love that. This offense just continues to not add around them as pitchers. Paul Skeens, as we see him so far, feels like a once in a generation type pitcher, right? It feels like he could be that guy in his career. You only get that guy on your team maybe once ever, right? And now you have him under control, and you're certainly not doing everything you possibly can to build a winning team around him in that time. In fact, you're doing the opposite. You're just doing nothing and spending no money and hoping people come out because they're excited to watch him pitch while not spending money on the team and then hopefully raking in all the money that you possibly can. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate that the Pirates are the way that they are. So this lineup, let's talk about it. They did add Tommy Pham, who I like. You add Tommy Pham, that's really their only fun addition to talk about. Brian Reynolds will be back in that lineup. O'Neill Cruz could be a 30-30 guy. Andrew McCutchen back in that lineup. Pirate legend. It just feels right with McCutchen finishing his career as a Pittsburgh Pirate. Joey Bart will do the catching for them most likely, and then you're going to have we don't even need to talk about the bottom of this lineup. It's not going to be very good. This team, IKF, Brian Hayes, hopefully Brian Hayes is incredible over at third base, but he needs to take a step forward offensively. This team will not be very good, but the pitching will be very good. So they can beat you on any given day. You could tell me they finish around 500, and I'd be like, yeah, I could see that. I wish they were much better, though, because of this pitching. Paul Skeens cannot wait to watch him in 2025, but give me the Pirates, according to FanDuel Sportsbook, plus 1,000 to win the NL Central in 2025. At number 4, we're going to move on to the St. Louis Cardinals. What is this team? What is this organization? Because for years and years, the Cardinals were the staple of consistency, were the staple of winning in baseball. 2006 World Series champions, what a run they went on. Playoffs every single year until recently. So now you have a team with talent. I will say they do have talent. You know, Sonny Gray, Eric Fetty at the top of a rotation, Miles Michaelis in there, a lineup that has, you know, Wilson Contreras, Lars Nootbaar, who hopefully Lars Nootbaar's advanced analytics are really good. So I love Lars. He's a friend of mine. I hope he takes a big step forward this year, and I think he can. But Nolan Arenado's in this lineup. He doesn't want to be there. He was hoping he wasn't there. I don't think this organization really cares the way they should. You know, like what this organization frustrates me. What are you doing as a culture? Their culture has gone from really good to bad. And they've just bought in out of nowhere to this analytics phase, which I've screamed time and time again, buying into analytics as a whole, for your team, is just being cheap. And the Cardinals organization has gone from the staple of consistency, the staple of winning, the culture staple, to the opposite of that. They've completely lost their approach. They've gone full analytics. They don't spend money on their team. And I don't really understand what they're doing now and what their direction is as an organization. So they're certainly not the fourth most talented team in this division, but culturally, I'm just not feeling it. I know the players aren't. Arenado doesn't want to be there. He wishes he was traded. He thought he was going to be traded. He was told he was going to be traded, and then they end up keeping him, and who knows? But the vibes around there just are not good, and I don't think that's going to lead to a successful 2025 season. So the Cardinals have talent, but I don't think they're good enough to do much damage. I don't think the team is good enough to overcome what that front office is doing and the vibes and the culture around there right now. So plus 850 on FanDuel Sportsbook, I'm going to take the Cardinals to come in fourth place in that division. Let's move on to third place, the Milwaukee Brewers at plus 290. I'm going to take to finish in third. Last year, I'm not afraid to laugh at myself when I was dead wrong. Last year, I had the Milwaukee Brewers finishing in dead last in the division. They ended up finishing in first place in the division. Let's talk about this year. You lose Devin Williams, a top 3 closer in the game of baseball. You lose Devin Williams back there. You lose Willy Adames, who's big time pop in the middle of that lineup at shortstop. You're going to miss him greatly. In theory, you can see this lineup having success. A lineup with Jackson Chourio, who I'm pumped about to see another full season of this young stud at the top of the lineup. Christian Yelich, new friend of the Flippin' Bats pod, a couple month or so ago, had him on to talk about this team, their approach, or his new approach at the plate, his evolution of his approach, his swing. Really loved having Yelich on. So go listen to him talk if you haven't yet. But I really hope for a good year out of Yelich. William Contreras, I mean, absolute stud last year. Can you get the same year out of him? And then you're talking Garrett Mitchell, Rhys Hoskins, but not much depth after that in this lineup. So, yeah, there's a path which, in theory, this lineup can be good. And, like, I see that. But losing Willy Adames and not adding much of anything, I think is going to be detrimental to this team. Don't think they did enough to replace Willy Adames in the middle of that lineup. And color me not impressed by this rotation that'll have Freddie Peralta at the top. But then we're talking Tobias Myers, Nestor Cortez, Aaron Savali, Jose Quintana. I just don't think the depth in that lineup or in the rotation is gonna be good enough. Hopefully Brandon Woodruff can come back and be really good for the rotation. But other than that, Freddie Peralta, Brandon Woodruff, if Brandon Woodruff is back and fully healthy and good to go, and himself can be good, but after that, you're counting on Nestor Cortez to be a middle of the rotation guy. I don't love that. Savali, Quintana, again, with this Brewers team, there's a path in which the lineup can be pretty good and the rotation can be pretty good. I like adding Jose Quintana as a bottom of the rotation guy. But I just don't see the path to winning the division. I don't think they did enough to replace Willie Adames, and I think they're going to really, really, really miss his production in the middle of that lineup. I think they're really going to miss the production of a top closer in the game of baseball at the back end of the bullpen, and I'm going to have them finishing ninth in the division in the NL Central this year. Ninth. Why did I say ninth? Third. I don't think the Brewers are going to finish. I, I don't think the Brewers are going to finish ninth in the division. I think they're going to finish third at plus 290. Maybe I saw that nine and said that. Regardless, Brewers finished third. Let's move on to second place in the NL Central. I am going to take the favorite to win it, the Chicago Cubs, at minus 105 to win the division on FanDuel Sportsbook. Give me them to finish in second place. The big addition here is Kyle Tucker, who I love. I think he's one of the best players in the game of baseball. I think he's a star. I think he's a 30-30 guy with the potential to hit more. It just became health. Just needs to stay healthy. And if he does, he's an MVP type of candidate in the National League. And you add him to that lineup, but really just stalled from there. So I love the addition, and I think they probably would have been the favorite to win the division without him. But you do add him, and I really like it a lot. But other than that, you're just really hoping for we saw a tale of two halves for Pete Crow Armstrong last year. In the second half, he was great. One of the best players on their team, one of the best players in the NL Central from the second half on. So I'm excited to watch him in 2025. I do think he figured some stuff out, and I think he's going to be good this year. At the bottom of the lineup, not a ton of depth. So as easy as it is for me to see the Cubs winning the division in 2024 or in 2025, as easy as it is for me to see the Cubs winning the division in 2025, it's equally as easy for me to see a path for them to finish fourth in the division in 2025. There's an easy path where they run into injuries and Kyle Tucker, God forbid, gets injured, or any of those guys. Seiya Suzuki as his protection. PCA, Ian Happ, Shota Imanaga, Justin Steele gets injured. And then we're talking about a team that's not doing great around the trade deadline, and then they trade away Kyle Tucker, and they finish fourth in this division. So I could easily see them winning the division. I could easily see them finishing fourth in the division. I'm going to have them finishing second here at minus 105 to win the division in the NL Central, which means to win the division in 2025. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. This is me running it back. Give me the Cincinnati Reds to win the division in 2025. Here's why. Reason number one, Tito. Terry Francona is the leader of the pack here now in Cincinnati, and I think he is one of the greatest managers of all time. There are additions this offseason. Brady Singer via trade with the Kansas City Royals, getting rid of Jonathan India, bringing in Brady Singer. They had so much infield depth, and now they add to the rotation a good arm. I liked that trade a lot for them. Bring in Gavin Lux, who had a really good second half. You bring in Jose Trevino to add depth behind that plate. Really solid bullpen arms. You bring in Taylor Rogers, Scott Barlow, and some outfield depth there with Austin Hayes as an addition. But the reason in 2024 I had the Cincinnati Reds winning the division was a combination of Matt McClain, Christian Encarnacion Strand, Ellie De La Cruz, Noelvi Marte. Now, Three of those four didn't work out in 2024 because of injuries. Matt McClain, injury. CES, injury. I guess Noel Marte was not an injury. It was a suspension for PEDs. A little bit different, but he missed a big chunk of the year. So now, not only those additions I mentioned, which I do like for the team, but the big additions come back via those missed time in 2024. Matt McClain, CES, Noel Marte will all be back. Love those additions for them just via getting them back in the lineup. A rotation of Hunter Green, Brady Singer, Andrew Abbott, Nick Lodolo, Nick Martinez. I like it. I'll take that. I like that a lot. Ellie De La Cruz. I mean, a budding, emerging superstar in this league. Last year, a huge step forward, cut down on his strikeouts, showed how good he can be, stole a million bases, hit for pop, and I think he can do that again this year. I think he steals 50 plus for sure this year. I think he can steal 60 bags. I think he can hit you 30 plus this year. Homers, I think we'll look up at the end of the year and Ellie De La Cruz will be in that MVP conversation. Can he beat out Shohei Ohtani? Whew, that's going to be tough. But we are talking about an MVP candidate in 2025 and for the next decade in Ellie De La Cruz. That's how much I think he's a stud. I'm rocking his shirt, EDLC, Ellie De La Cruz, but it's an ACDC sort of feel to the shirt. I think he's going to be a stud. And I think you plug him into the middle of that lineup, and I think the Reds lineup has the potential to be really good. So you give me Matt McClain, Ellie De La Cruz, Christian Encarnacion Strand, and then the depth additions of Gavin Lux and Austin Hayes, TJ Friedel around the top of that lineup. I like it. I like it enough to win the division. But the big reason, aside from everything I said, getting those guys back, their rotation, McClain, CES, Marte, EDLC, or Ellie De La Cruz, I love it. But I cannot stress this enough. Terry Francona is a difference maker. I've never seen a manager get the most out of his players the way that Terry Francona does. His first year in Boston in 2004, first year he gets there, World Series champion. His first year in Cleveland, he took a team the year prior that won 68 games. They were 68 and 94 the year before Terry Francona got there. His first year there, they won 92 games. That's an improvement of 24 games in his first year as manager. During his tenure with Cleveland, they were projected to finish below 500 three times. And in those 3 years, they averaged 11.3 more wins than their projections. 92 wins, and 85 wins in years where they were supposed to finish below 500. So for all of those reasons, Terry Francona getting McClain, CES, and Marte back, another year of development and progression for Ellie De La Cruz, who we all know, I love Ellie De La Cruz. A rotation where you added Brady Singer, Hunter Green's a stud. Andrew Abbott, Lodolo, Nick Martinez make for fantastic depth. All of those reasons. Terry Francona at the helm. Give me the Cincinnati Reds to win the division in 2025. Now, when it comes to this division, call me crazy. Last year, I really went out on a limb. I said the Reds will win. Brewers are going to finish last. The Reds were not good. The Brewers won the division. But I'm not afraid to look like a fool. I see the path for the Reds. I saw it last year, and I'm not going to admit I was wrong. I was wrong about the division. I'm not going to admit I was wrong about the Reds with Matt McClain, CES, Noel Marte all missing time, and it just was not the year that it was supposed to be for the Reds. But this year, You add some decent depth around those guys offensively. You add some depth to the lineup. You have a good rotation. You add a Hall of Fame manager. Your young studs are going to take another step forward. This year, with Terry Francona there, I feel confident running it back. They're not the favorite. They're projected to finish third in the division. But give me the Cincinnati Reds. I'm running it back. I'm willing to step out on a limb again for the Cincinnati Reds. So with this division, it's just a division where if you can stay healthy, any team can win this. And it feels like a bit more of a long shot for the Pittsburgh Pirates, but a team with a rotation of Skeens, Keller, and Jared Jones, the path to see them winning games isn't difficult, right? They're going to be good on the pitching side of things. Their lineup is just what it has continued to be. Let's slap a band-aid on there of Tommy Pham and say, look, we made an offensive pickup, but you're not really making those splash moves to add around. That's not any discredit towards Tommy Pham. Tommy Pham is a winner. Tommy Pham is a guy that is, I know there's some speculation out there or some like talks about him, but Tommy Pham is well liked by everybody he plays with. He is a player that people love having on their team. He's a guy that people love having in the locker room. And he's a guy that, in case you haven't been keeping track, when it comes to playing for a baseball team, he ends up being a winner. He gets to the playoffs and he produces in the playoffs. Tommy Pham is a good addition to the lineup, but as the addition to a lineup for a team that's hopeful Paul Skeens wins the Cy Young Award and is a generational talent, why aren't we doing more? Why aren't we spending on guys out there? Let's go out and add a Pete Alonso and an Anthony Santander to a lineup that has DJ Stewart at first base and needs, I mean, outfield wise, I guess they're okay because I think we're moving O'Neal Cruz to the outfield, but I digress. Let's go add some bats around. Let's go get a Alex Bregman and let's go get a Pete Alonso and let's go get an Anthony Santander. Not all of them. It's because it's the cheapest owner of all time. But like, let's go make some big splash moves, and they're not doing it. Again, I got sidetracked, but the path to see them being a 500 team and maybe being better, it's not impossible to see. But I do have them finishing in last. The Cardinals at the bottom of the division, sort of the same story. The path to see them winning it isn't impossible. It's just the culture there is in the dumps, and everyone feels it. Arenado doesn't want to be there. Attendance last year, it's a team that like everyone there loves to come out and watch the Cardinals play baseball. But like because of the direction the front office is taking the team and their lack of spending and like the culture and the vibes feeling bad, like the fans feel that. And it's up to the team and the organization to bring them back. It's not vice versa. That's what I hate. It's like, yeah, of course the fans aren't showing up right now. And a place that on a Wednesday night game, we're used to seeing it packed. But of course, what are we showing the fans that like, hey, this team, we are committed to winning the World Series this year. I don't feel that from the Cardinals. The fans don't feel that. But like a team with Mason Wynn being a young talent, Lars Nootbaar, Wilson Contreras, Nolan Arenado, Nolan Gorman at the bottom of the lineup, a rotation with Sonny Gray and Eric Fetty. Like I could see them winning games. That's not a far-fetched thought. But I just don't love the way they're running things. I don't love the culture there right now. The culture is bad. And it's up to that front office to show the players that they're committed for me to see a little more and for me to see this team winning this year. I just don't see it happening. With the Brewers, you lose Willie Adames. You don't really replace that in the lineup. You lose Devin Williams. There's no way to replace that at the back end of the bullpen. So I know they won the division last year. They won over 90 games. I don't see them being as good this year. Cubs got better with the addition of Christian Walker, with the addition of Kyle Tucker. Sorry, I was thinking Astros there, and Astros you know what I was doing. Yeah, Kyle Tucker, they certainly got better. I think PCA takes a big step forward. I get why they're the favorites. Again, this is me talking about how I can see any team winning this division. Cubs are the favorite to win it. Kyle Tucker, MVP candidate. Shota Imanaga, Justin Steele at the top of a rotation. I think that's going to be really fun to watch. But ultimately, I have the Reds winning this division because I think top to bottom, on paper, lineup, rotation, bullpen. You put it all together, and I think the potential is the best there. And as I said at the beginning, there's no better manager, maybe ever, at getting the most out of his players than Terry Francona. And I think the all-encompassing feeling of getting all of your players back and healthy that were out last year, another year forward of Ellie De La Cruz, who's a star, a rotation adding Brady Singer, adding a little bit on offense depth-wise, Terry Francona leading all of that. The potential is there for them to win the division and be a good baseball team. And I believed in that potential last year, and I'm certainly going to believe in that this year when you add Terry Francona to manage all of them. So give me, in 2025, the Cincinnati Reds to win the NL Central. I think this can be a fun division. I think baseball's better and fun when the Chicago Cubs are winning and Wrigleyville is rocking and Wrigley Field is rocking, and it will be this year. I think the Cubs are going to be a good team. I think the Reds are going to be a good team. I think the Brewers won the division last year and will be good. So I like this division. It's not as competitive, maybe top to bottom, as like the AL East and NL East. Those were really fun divisions to talk about. Go listen to those. Earlier this week was AL Central. But we're going division by division, top to bottom, who I think finishes in last and who I think finishes in first and why I see that happening. So go check all of them out if you haven't yet. But this one is NL Central. And this, I'm rocking the shirt, EDLC. This, I see the Cincinnati Reds winning it. Again, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. This is that year. If the Reds are terrible this year, it'll be a big shame on me. But I'm hopeful they're good. I'm hopeful they're fun. I can easily see the path to them winning the division, and I'm once again going to be a believer in them. But let me know what you all think. If you're watching on YouTube right now, please leave a comment letting me know who you think wins and why you think they win it. Because I promise you, I'll hop in the comments and talk to you about this. I would love to see what you all think. And if you're listening, wherever you listen to your podcast, please make sure you hit that subscribe, follow button, leave a comment on social media, or go to YouTube and leave a comment there. But I promise I'll respond. I'm going to try and respond to everyone. But 2025, the year of flipping bats, the year of the Cincinnati Reds winning the NL Central. I cannot wait for baseball to get started, and it starts next week, baby. Let's go. We are here. The Cubs in this division, who will be a good team this year, starting over in Japan in the Tokyo series against the Dodgers. We're just a couple days away from that. I will be waking up every morning talking about it. We'll be doing shows about it, but I'll be waking up. What time are those games going to? I think they're starting at like, I don't know, middle, like 2 a.m. 2 a.m. Pacific time, I think I saw. We'll see. All I know is I'll be up, I'll be pumped, I'll be talking about them, and I will be sleepy, but we'll be here to talk about it. 2025, the year of flipping bats, my friends. I cannot wait for baseball to get started and for what baseball is going to bring this year. It has just been on a straight upward trajectory since COVID, really, and these new rules and this new year, and I get so excited just thinking about it. So thank you all for listening, watching. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen, watch your podcast. Make sure you're following on all social media. Till next week, my friends. This one has been a lot of fun. NL Central and AL Central this week. But until next time, where we do AL West and then NL West, this has been another episode of Flippin' Bats. Thank you all for watching. That makes sense. Watching and listening. Until next time, remember, find your bat and flip it. Peace.